Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Akbar Pratama. So today I would like to present about comparative thesis. Okay. In the chapter one, I know. And the first thesis is about dissociative identify disorder portrayed by Malcolm Rivers in the Identity movie by James Mangold, and the another thesis is about depression of a neurosyd as reflected in the the Midnight Library. In the chapter one, from the thesis one is have a different. First one is only have a three citation in the chapter one, then have a wrong words when the researcher write problem of study and objective of study. And then in the chapter one have a short paragraph. We know in a one paragraph have a five sentence in a limitation then in limitation in this thesis it's too short. And then in the significance of research, the researcher were not use italic when write the title. Then the another thesis is in the chapter one. The researcher tells about the content of chapter one as opening. Then in the chapter one, the researcher already discussed about the previous study. Then the researcher have a definition of key terms in the chapter one. Then in the chapter one have a research method, and then in the chapter one have a repetition of the discussion. Then the last one is it's have a grammar error in the title. Okay, next is about in chapter two. In the chapter two, the researcher use in the thesis one, the researcher use a psychological approach, well like an environment. Then the researcher used a theory of a kinds of dissociative identity disorder by Nevitt. Then the researcher used a theory of a cause dissociative identity disorder by Thomas Altman. Then the another thesis is about in the chapter one the researcher tells about the content of chapter one as opening. In the chapter two, the researcher make a psychology and a literature. Uh, Then, in the chapter 2, the researcher doesn't discuss about the previous study. Next, about the chapter 3, in the thesis 1 is the researcher use a descriptive qualitative method. Then in the design of research, the researcher use a bahasa in the statement Nawawi. Then the another thesis about it's told about in in the opening, the researcher tells about the content of chapter. Then in the chapter 3, the researcher discuss about finding and discussion. Then the last one is the researcher use a present tense to describe it. Next, uh, in the chapter 4, in the thesis 1, in the chapter 4, the researchers tells about finding and discussion. And then the another chapter and the another thesis in the chapter 4. In the chapter 4, the researcher tells about the content of a chapter 1 as opening. In the chapter 4, the researcher discuss about the conclusion and suggestion. Then, in the chapter 5, in the thesis 1, is told about in the chapter 5, the researcher discuss about the conclusion and suggestion. Then the another thesis, it it's only 5 chapter. So the difference about the thesis from statement from UIN. Then another thesis is different because in UIN it have a 5 chapter and the another thesis is only 4 chapter. Okay. Uh, I think just it. Thank you for listening. That's all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.